Today, we're diving into one of the oldest books in the world to find a secret that's been hiding in plain sight for thousands of years. We're going to find an absolutely profound message tucked away in what might be one of the most skipped over parts of the Bible, a simple list of names. So let me just ask you this. What if one of the most boring, tedious parts of the Bible was actually a prophecy? I know, it sounds like something straight out of a thriller movie, but believe it or not, the evidence is right there, written into the names themselves. You know those parts of the Bible, right? The long lists of so-and-so was the father of so-and-so? I mean, for most of us, our eyes just glaze over. It feels more like ancient bookkeeping than some gripping story. But what if we've all been missing the point? And look, let's be real, it's totally understandable why we skip them. These sections can feel so dry, so repetitive, and maybe even irrelevant to the main stories. They're like historical footnotes. But we're about to see why one of these lists, in particular, deserves a much closer look. Okay, so our investigation is going to center on this one genealogy, way back in Genesis chapter 5. This is the list that tracks the first 10 generations, all the way from Adam down to Noah. And the key to unlocking its hidden message lies in understanding something really simple but really profound about their culture. Here's the absolute key to this whole thing. In ancient Hebrew, a name wasn't just a random label you got called. A name meant something. It often described your character, your situation, or even a hope for your future. And once you get that, a boring list suddenly turns into an incredible sentence. All right, you ready? Let's get into the list itself and see how this whole thing builds. We're just going to walk through the 10 names from Adam to Noah one by one and look at what each one actually means. This is where the code really starts to reveal itself. Okay, so here we go with the first 4 generations. We start with Adam, which simply means man. His son was Seth, and that name means appointed. Then comes Seth's son, Enosh, which translates to mortal or frail, and his son was Kenan, a name that means sorrow. Now, if you just string those 4 meanings together, what do you get? You get a phrase, man is appointed mortal sorrow. Wow, I mean, that's a pretty heavy, powerful start, right? And it really seems to capture that early human story that you read about in Genesis. But then, just as things are sounding pretty bleak, the message takes this incredible turn. The next 3 names are Mahalalel, which means the blessed God, followed by Jared, which means shall come down, and finally Enoch, which means teaching. All of a sudden, the subject of our sentence shifts completely, from humanity's problems to some kind of divine action. So the obvious question is, what happens when we combine this really hopeful part with that somber beginning we just uncovered? You can feel the story is building to something pretty significant here. And here it is, the grand finale of our list. The last 3 names are Methuselah, which has a fascinating meaning. His death shall bring. Then we have Lamech, meaning the despairing. And finally Noah, whose name famously means rest or comfort. Okay, now we have all the pieces. So, after decoding every single name one by one, we are ready for the big reveal. Let's assemble all 10 meanings into one single flowing sentence and finally see what this ancient genealogy has been trying to tell us all along. And here it is. Read it with me. Man is appointed mortal sorrow, but the blessed God shall come down, teaching that his death shall bring the despairing rest. Just let that sink in for a second. It's this incredible, stunning summary of a huge theological story, hidden inside a simple list of names. Let's just quickly break that down. The sentence lays out a really clear 4-part story, doesn't it? It starts with the human condition, sorrow, mortality. Then it talks about divine intervention, God coming down. It points to some kind of redemption through a death, and it all ends with an outcome of rest and comfort. So what on earth are we supposed to make of this? I mean, is this just a list of historical dudes, or is there a much deeper prophetic layer woven right into the fabric of the text? This discovery suggests the message isn't just in what the Bible says, but in how it says it. And what's truly fascinating is that this little story arc, moving from brokenness to intervention, teaching, sacrifice, and finally rest, that's a pattern that shows up over and over and over again throughout the entire Bible. It's almost like this genealogy is a miniature preview of the much bigger story. Which, of course, brings us to the ultimate question.
Is it really possible for 10 names in a row to form such a specific and theologically packed sentence just by pure chance? Or does this point to some kind of intentional design, a message that was deliberately embedded right at the very beginning of the human story?
So the big takeaway is this. On the surface, Genesis 5 looks like a dry list of names and ages that most of us would just fly right past. But hidden just underneath that surface is this powerful message of redemption and hope, a complete prophecy just in miniature. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If a message this profound can be hidden in a place this mundane, what other secrets, what other patterns and codes might be out there, just waiting to be discovered in all the places we've never even thought to look?